Hello, my name is Keshwani. It's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT grammar questions out of this book here, the official SAT study guide. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problems that we are about to solve are the ones that you will find on page number 956. Please turn to it. Page 956, and today is our day number 48. We are working on the last exam here, very last exam. These are set of 18 questions, beginning with number 12 and ending with number 29. Since there are 18 of these questions in a set, therefore the scale of difficulty goes from 12 to 29. That tells us that the approximately first 6 or 7 are easy, the middle 6 or 7 are going to be medium, and the last 6 or 7 are going to be hard. The 7 questions that we see on page number 956, they are all easy. As you turn the page, on the following page, in the first column we'll see the medium questions, in the second column we'll see the hard ones. Let's get going. Number 1. The question number 1, question number 12 that is already on the blackboard. It goes something like this. It says, as at the heart of the program, enthusiastically endorsed, that's underlined, enthusiastically endorsed by the city's business association, is plans for refurbishing neighborhoods. And as far as we're concerned, this is it. That's the end of the sentence. The rest of the stuff that you see there in the sentence is the boring bits. We're not interested in that part. It goes on to say plans for refurbishing neighborhoods and for making low-interest mortgages available to young family. All of that is fine. There is nothing wrong with COD. We're not interested in that part. That's the boring bits. Let's see what's wrong here so far. What we see on the blackboard here. At the heart of the program, enthusiastically endorsed by the city's business association. The stuff that you see between the two commas, I always tell you, it is there just for one purpose. It is just there to distract you from the subject of the sentence. Get rid of it. Don't pay any attention to it. It plays no role. Anything that you see between the comma, get rid of it. It's gone. It doesn't exist. And as soon as we do that, that comma has to go as well. So now it reads, at the heart of the program is plans for. As you can clearly see, plans are plural. At the heart of the program, not is, but are. At the heart of the program are programs for refurbishing neighborhoods. That's all. The answer is B. Because the subject of the sentence here are these plans, and the plans are plural. If the plans are plural, it has to agree with the verb. The verb has to agree with the subject. Subject-verb agreement. Next one, number 2. The illustrated books by Dr. Seuss. The books by Dr. Seuss have managed, so far so good, these are books and therefore have managed keeping youngsters and adults like, that's fine, entertained for years. The books by Dr. Seuss have managed, as you're reading it, listen to yourself. We're probably making too much fuss about it because it's a very simple question. If you listen to yourself, what do you expect to hear next? The books have managed to keep, not keeping. The books by Dr. Seuss have managed to keep, youngsters and adults entertained for decades. That's all. The answer was B. Is it B? Yep, answer is B. Next one. Number 3. Introducing new ideas and replacing the old ones. Introducing new ideas and replacing old ones is always difficult. Now, had this been the end, had this been the end of the sentence, had this been the sentence that we were given to us, introducing new ideas and replacing old ones is always difficult. There is nothing wrong with it. It's fine, which tells us we do not know what the answer is, but it's not A or B. It's not A. It's neither is B. It's always a highly controversial matter. And again, had that been the end of the sentence, again it's fine. It's always difficult, or it's always a highly controversial matter. And then they go on to say, especially when, this is also fine, there's nothing wrong with it, especially when there is already tension between the older and the younger generation. Especially, where is the D? Especially when was the D part, where is the C? I left C out. Especially when something. I'm not going to write all of this thing. It's fine. There's this sentence. There is nothing wrong with this sentence. We're going to read it one more time. Introducing new ideas and replacing old ones is always a highly controversial matter. It's always a highly controversial matter, especially when there is already tension between an older and a younger generation. It is fine. The answer is E, no error. It's always a controversial matter, especially when there is already a tension between the older generation and the younger generation. As it is, it's always a controversial matter, replacing the old idea with the new ones, especially when there is already a tension existing. Next one. So before I go to the next one, I'm just going to take 1 second here. I don't want to make it too much fuss about it, because if I have not covered it, then I don't want to go start it right now. Well, we have never actually covered it in our vocabulary lessons. If you are one of those people, I'm not sure, I obviously no way of knowing it, but if you are one of those people who has trouble differentiating this word especially with the E and without the E, the way you do that is replace this word, as I just did a little while ago, the E with the special with particularly. And if you can do that, if you can replace this word with particularly and the sentence does not change its meaning, then this is a special with the E, which means particular, something specific. You understand? One more time. Introducing new ideas and replacing the old ones is always a highly controversial matter, particularly when there exists a tension already. Or when there already exists a tension between the younger generation and the older one. Number 15. It was fortunate that the inexperienced veterinarian I'm not a good speller, you understand? Veterinarian was able to It was fortunate that the inexperienced veterinarian was able to sing. Now, had that been the end of the sentence, what do you find wrong with this sentence so far? It was fortunate that the inexperienced veterinarian was able to sing. But they say it was fortunate that he was able to examine. It doesn't matter. Had this been the end of the sentence, examine something, that is, had this been the end of the sentence, there's nothing wrong with this sentence. That tells us we do not know what the answer is, but it's not A, B, or C, which means either something is wrong with D, or there is no mistake at all. So all we have to do now is to carefully examine what follows in D. Let's see what it says. It was fortunate that the inexperienced veterinarian was able to examine the injured horse. You see how they put extra stuff in there? Instead of saying the horse, they put injured horse just to distract you. The more stuff they put in the sentence, they're hoping that you get distracted from whatever the problem that may lie ahead. It was fortunate that he was able to examine the injured horse. How? Well, they go on to tell you, calm. And with confidence. But as far as we're concerned, this is the end of the sentence. And with confidence is the boring bit. We're not interested in that. It was fortunate that inexperienced veterinarian. Again, you see that they put in extra stuff here just to distract us. They could have just said the veterinarian, but they had to say inexperienced veterinarian just to confuse us. They could have just said, they could have left this part out. They could have left all of this part out. The veterinarian was able to examine, no need to make the horse injured. The veterinarian was able to examine the horse calm. There you go. That's your sentence. The veterinarian, or better yet, here we go. We're going to make it even simpler. We're going to make it even simpler. There you go. He was able to examine the horse calm. To which you will say, what the hell? How was he able to examine? Well, anything that explains to us how an action takes place, anything that describes an action here is the examine. That's your word. And anything that elaborates how it was examined is called an adverb. An adverb has to be calmly. He was able to examine the horse, not calm, he was able to examine the horse calmly. The doctor was able to examine the patient calmly. Or doctor examined the patient calmly. That's all. The answer is B. Now a couple of words come to my mind right now, and I'm not sure if you should again digress in the vocabulary thing, but since they come to my mind and they're good words to learn for the SAT, they're good words to learn in general, but particularly if you're interested in improving the vocabulary, particularly if you're interested in getting a better score in the reading portion of the exam, because what we are doing right now is the writing portion of the exam, as you understand. And actually we did learn it, so I'm going to actually talk about it. They say that, let's go back to the sentence. It says, it was fortunate that the inexperienced veterinarian I do not know why I go where I do not know how to spell things. Inexperienced, that's what it says here. Can you give me a better word? Can you give me a vocab word which means somebody who is experienced, somebody who is inexperienced, somebody who is new at something, somebody who doesn't have too much experience? The word would be, instead of saying the inexperienced veterinarian, of course they did not use the vocab word because this is not the reading exam, this is the writing portion. The writing portion they typically do not test your vocabulary. But had the same sentence appeared in the reading passage, it is quite likely that they may have said, that they could have said, that instead of inexperienced, experienced, let's say, callow. Callow means to be inexperienced, somebody who is new at something, rough around the edges. That's another expression, rough around the edges. If somebody is described as being rough around the edges, that might show up again in the writing portion as an expression, as an idiom. Rough around the edges means to be inexperienced. You're not refined. You don't have the experienced, so you don't have the knowledge that somebody who's been around for a while may have. The callow veterinarian examined the horse calmly. Callow. What is the other word I'm looking for here? Inexperienced, callow. I can't think of anything else. There was one more word that I had a second ago, now I forget. Anyway. Oh, callow that we just learned. If you're interested in learning it properly, this word along with a whole bunch of other words that will help you improve vocabulary, but if you're interested particularly in learning this word in detail, you can just type in vocab day 44. Just type in SAT vocabulary words, day 44, it will pop right up. And if it doesn't, try searching it with my name. Number 16. Although the details of the contract, has not yet been made public, although the details of the contract has not yet been announced, this goes on to say, it is likely that the union negotiators accepted the proposed training program for the newly hired workers. That's what the sentence actually says. I'm not going to put all of that on the blackboard for two reasons. First of all, it's the boring bits. We're not interested in that part. Secondly, as always, I take it for granted that you have the book in front of you. You must have the book in front of you in order to be able to follow my work. Because sometimes I leave stuff out. I do not put everything on the blackboard because I'm lazy. And sometimes my handwriting is quite atrocious. It's not legible. So, although the details of the contract has not yet been announced. What do you see? Do you see a problem here? What is the subject of this sentence here? That's the very first thing we should ask yourself. What is the subject of the sentence? The subject of the sentence here is the details. And how do we know that? Well, we know that that's the subject by doing this simple trick. If we cross out everything else, does it change the meaning of the sentence? The details, now it says the details has not been announced, which is not proper. Obviously, details is plural. The details have not been announced. Details being plural requires a plural form of the verb. So again, the problem with the subject-verb agreement. The subject of the sentence is plural. The form of the verb does not agree with it. Subject-verb agreement. The details have not yet been made public. Details have not yet been announced. And that was number 16. Number 17. The second to the last one, the penultimate one. Just when those who were watching from the sideline fared the worst, just when those who were watching from the sidelines feared the worst, so far there is nothing wrong. The athletes themselves are the most confident. The athlete themselves are the most confident. What is the problem with this sentence? The problem with this sentence has to do with tenses. Where are tenses? Number 2. Sometimes that's what they try to pull the trick here, by starting out a sentence in one tense, by starting out a sentence in the present tense, and all of a sudden the ending part is in the past tense, or vice versa. Here, the sentence starts out in the past tense. How do we know that? Because it's right there. Just when those who were watching, it's the past tense, who were watching from the sideline feared, you see again the past tense, feared the worst, the athletes themselves are the most confident. It switches back to the present tense. You cannot do that. Just as we feared the worst, they do their best. No, they did their best. Just when those who were watching from the sideline, feared the worst, the athletes themselves were the most confident. Just when the audience, just when the spectators feared the worst, expected the worst, the athletes themselves actually were in their best form. Actually, the athletes themselves were the most confident. Athletes themselves were, as I said, in their best form. Were, not are. Because we're talking about past tense. We're talking about something that happened in the past. The sentence starts out in the past tense. It should be the athletes themselves were the most confident. Let's do the very last one, number 18. Before we do number 18, let's learn this word I just used right before we started doing number 17. I used this word in the context. I said let's do number 17. Let's do the penultimate one, number 17. Penultimate, as you already know by now, if you've been watching previous videos, I've used this word several times. It's just a very fancy way of saying second to the last. Second to the last. Number 17 on this page was the penultimate problem. Let's do the last one now, number 18. Penultimate, I believe we learned it on day number 11. And if it turns out to be day number 11, then that will prove that I need a life. Yes, it is day 11. So I'm going to go to the doctor and hopefully he will prescribe me a life. Do you understand? There you go. Day number 11. Again, type in vocabulary words, day 11, and it will pop right up. Learn the word, learn all the other words that we learned in the vocabulary lessons. You understand? I was being sarcastic, I was being a wise guy when I made that remark. There is nothing wrong with improving your vocabulary. I'm breaking to sermon, as you can tell, and there is absolutely nothing wrong in wanting to improve your language skill. It's very important, not just for the SAT. Do you understand? The resources are there. It is up to you whether or not you wish to avail yourself to those resources. They're all there at my channel. There are vocabulary videos to help you with the reading portion of the exam. There are grammar questions as you're watching here to help you with the writing portion of the exam. And there are videos, there are 150 videos which will present to you the solution to every single math problem that is present in this book. This book has 10 exams. You will find solution to all of those math problems from all of the 10 exams. As I said, there are 150 videos. Whether or not you wish to avail yourselves of those videos, of course, is your choice. Number 18. Number 18 is a very simple one. It's a gift. It appears only once in the entire exam. In the entire writing portion, there's going to be one exam which is going to test what this one is testing, which is, though the statistics on their experiments, though the statistics on their experiment were neither precise or significant, something. what they're testing here is this part. Neither should go with nor, not or. It goes on to say, though the statistics on their experiments were neither precise nor significant, we need nor, not or, nor significant, the biochemist still published them. The scientists decided to publish the results of the experiment, regardless of the fact that the statistics were neither precise nor significant. That's all. We need neither nor. It happens, as I said, only once in the entire exam, so don't get too excited. You're going to find only one question in the entire writing portion where they will test your knowledge of this idiom, either neither nor or either or. That was a weird sentence. Not both of them. You're not going to get two of them. You're going to get one which will test the idiom either or. You can have either this or that, or you can have neither this nor that. That's all. It's a very simple one. I will see you tomorrow, where we'll continue with these questions in the next page, the medium and the hard ones. Okay? Bye now.